So over the past 3 months, I've had the honor of using the new Laowa Rangers for S35 on loan for several projects. A commercial,
I love my bike!
documentary,
Have you ever used a barf bag before?
Never did. I used the ground.
Use the ground?
That's it. Just throw it up and that's it. You gotta blow in it first.
and everything else in between. But right off the bat, if I was in the market for a cinema zoom, the 17-50, I highly recommend purchasing that first. It was fantastic to use. Now, this is going to be a slightly different review than normal. Yes, I'll get to all the details about the Laowa Rangers, all 3 lenses, but I did ask you all, what are some of the struggles you have with lenses? Now, this might be a silly question to more seasoned professionals, but it's a question I get nonetheless, and it raises some concerns. So I'll be tackling a few of those things in this video along with this entire review. So sit back, relax, enjoy, like and subscribe, and do all the things. Let's get it. Each year, companies like Laowa have been pushing the limits for budget cinema lenses, particularly in the zoom lens category. Last year, I reviewed the full-frame Rangers, and today I'm happy to introduce to you the new S35 versions of the Rangers, the 11-18, the 17-50, and the 50-130, all at T2.9. Now, quick disclaimer, Laowa did not sponsor this video. I have another sponsor, which is audio, and we'll get to that a little bit later. But they did allow me to use these lenses, like I mentioned before, on loan for a couple months. So they don't get to see this video. Obviously, I give you my full, honest review about them as per usual. Like, why would I need to lie about a lens? Anyway, they did not pay me, or did they didn't let me keep the lenses either, which kind of sucks. But I was able to hold on to them for a couple months, which was very helpful for the productions we had earlier this year.
Can we do like a high five?
I'll get out of the way so you can... I'll do a punch. I'll do a punch.
High five?
Yeah.
All right, ready? Ready, 3, 2, 1, high five.
So here are a couple of reasons why I think the Laowa S35 Rangers are a fantastic value for what they offer. They are incredibly light and compact. I have never seen cine zooms this small and this light before. The only thing I can really compare them to in terms of size and weight are still lenses. And those struggles with still lenses with focusing and breathing and all those other things, external zooming when you're zooming, all of these things are, jam-packed into cinema lenses that don't have all those issues, which is like mind-boggling. And sometimes it felt a little silly having this tiny cine zoom on my bigger camera because I did not feel the weight of it in the front. So I had to kind of reposition a few things. Whatever engineering they did, it was a really, really great job. And just the compactness and lightness was just a joy to use when traveling. Because imagine like taking 3 larger cine zooms, roughly that same focal length for each one. You'll be dealing with a lot of weight. I think about the Tokinas, the Ingenues, this, that, and the other. Like those are going to be really, even the Sigmas, those are really heavy lenses compared to these. Now, the second thing is that these lenses are parafocal. This was huge because filming a documentary, we had a lot of punch-in zooms, and even the commercials that were on, we wanted to achieve certain looks and certain camera movements and lens movements in camera. And so having it being parafocal without having any other, an AC to pull focus, that allowed me to quickly grab my focus, zoom back in, and I can have that range without even losing anything. The downside, which I'm saying this early now, but just with the full frame lenses, you can actually set the bat focus on the lens itself. With these, you don't have that ability. There had to be some compromise to the size of these lenses. So you can only technically correct them or adjust the back focus if you are shimming the lenses. And of course, the most important thing is, how does the image look? Now, it's very subjective, but from my trained eye, They're very neutral. They don't have a lot of expression left or right. You could say they're a tad bit more warm. They are consistent, and we'll get to more of that a little bit later. But you can also just judge it yourself as you've seen footage on screen. You'll see a ton of footage from all over we've been filming. And the build quality of these lenses are really, really good. Again, all metal housing, the proper gearing. They have a 77 filter thread. They come in PL, but they also come in other mounts as well. I'll put them on screen because I don't remember from the top of my head. And generally, you're just getting a really, really good lens for the price. And the price goes for about $2,000 per lens. Now, audio is rapidly growing and getting some really good features. Most recently, they just released a new feature called Elements. It's new to audio, but the concept is simple. It allows you to download stems from the favorite songs that you find in the library. And stems, if you don't know, are just the ability to select what musical instruments from a song that you like, and you can use just that in your song. So if you don't like the vocals in one song, and you just want the drums, the piano, or the, guitar, you can select those three, put it into your editor, and then work from there. So essentially, you're creating a whole new type of sound based on what your needs are for the video. And this is great for content creators like myself, but also full-time as well, because now I can apply that to certain projects for short ads. I can just have the drum beat, or this, that, and the other. So it's really great to check out. Now, this is only available in the Pro account. So if you use Cine 70, this allows you to get 70% off of the Pro account for 1 year, which is a steal. You just grab that for the year and then you just run with it. You can use that on all your projects. So check it out. Link is in the description. Again, thank you Audio for sponsoring this video. Okay, let's go back. You remember this guy, right? So we at Sunny 16 were hired to film a commercial disguised as a documentary for Dramamine.
Is there a holy grail barf bag in the collector world?
I will get it for you. So you see a picture of a spaceman on there? That is from the space shuttle.
Have you taken it out of
I have never taken it out of there. I'm a little
yeah, I don't want to ask.
I might do it if I
I lived on the 17 to 50, and probably around 90% of the time for interviews, man on the street, and B-roll. We were in small buildings, factories, you name it, we were in there. And this lens just stayed in there because it was great to have the ability to go super wide relatively on Super 35, and then also have all the ranges in between, all that T2.9, which technically we made like a rule book. I mentioned this in my other video, but we made a rule book. So we were pretty much filming only at a T4 or T5.6 majority of the time, depending on the situation. But this lens being parfocal, especially man on the street, we wanted punchy zooms to emphasize certain moments when people are reacting or trying to basically explain what it is to throw up. And we wanted to emphasize certain things based on the story and also the action. So again, having that nice mid-range gave enough context to what we were doing, and then kind of moving in and out when we needed to, all being parfocal, so I didn't have to shift the focus. Now, the other two lenses I didn't use as much, but the 50 to 130 I did pick up a few times for just longer establishing shots when we could. But in the commercial we did for Villatrex, I think it's Villatrex, it was very much a run and gun style. And so I used the 17 to 50 and the 50 to 130 equally. My best advice, there's two things I can mention, but my best advice is to practice.
We're talking about practice, man.
This is the inherent issue of trying to pull your own focus. You have to understand distance. You have to understand the lenses that you're using, because all Cine lenses, aside from the still lenses, those are a little bit trash. Obviously, you're trying to pull focus. But with Cine lenses, you have a wide range of focus throws depending on the degrees that you can turn. So you have 150s, you have 180s, you have 270s, you have 300s. 300 is going to be the longest focus throw. So you have to take some time to understand the type of lens that you have. And because those different variants of the focus throws at the degrees, your focus scale on the lens drastically changes, because you'll have a little more flexibility from 1 foot to 2 foot versus it being, 1 foot to 3 feet, or, whatever the markings are on the lens. So understand the markings on your lens, understand how to judge distance. So you had to go out either with a mannequin or a C-stand or whatever, put something in the foreground closest to you and put something mid-ground or furthest away. And so understand how to, properly hold your lens on your camera and pull that focus if you're not using a follow focus wheel. Just kind of take some time and do it in your spare time, because struggling that way and always relying on autofocus all the time when you want to use different lenses, that can be an issue. And, some of you all are probably already dealing with that right now. So I encourage you to practice. The second thing, which is kind of the cop-out, which I actually like now too, is getting the DJI LiDAR system, the newest one. That one is just fantastic. As you probably all seen around, and I actually need to do a follow-up video because I didn't realize I had the new one when they gave it to me the first time. I digress. You should try to check that out. Maybe rent it first, but this allows you to use autofocus on any and all Cine lenses. It has a vast library that you can set up, and I'm in the process of setting up mine right now because I need to put some anamorphics and some other sphere lenses. I got to set it up later because I'm preparing for a commercial we're shooting later this month, so we're going to be using that because I'm not hiring an AC. Anyway, I digress. That is a great option if you don't want to use still lenses anymore. It is an investment. But if you are going to be moving this direction, I would recommend trying that out first. You don't have to buy it. See if it's available for rent. Lens Rentals, I have a discount code in the description. Check that out. Now, speaking about zoom lenses in this case, we're going to put primes aside. I think in general, zoom lenses are your most versatile lens that you can have in your kit. So it adds value in that sense because you can get a vast of compositions and certain things you're not prepared for depending on what you're doing. I guess you could say it's the most valuable in like event and documentary. Even in commercial narrative, you can take a little bit more slower pace, but it does have value in that space as well. Now, yes, zoom lenses aren't the sexiest. They're not the fast apertures that everybody's kind of drooling over, the 1.2s, the 1.4s, 1.9s, whatever. Practically speaking, you're not always shooting that fast anyway, and you're going to be running into a lot of issues with focusing, which a lot of you all say that you have. Is this probably because you're not stopping down. And these relatively faster zooms, the fastest zoom I've seen is around, the Sigmas at 1.8, and they kind of carried over the still lenses and stuff. But again, you're not buying a zoom lens for fast apertures. You're buying it for the practicality of it and then the range that it gives you. And most times on longer end zooms, you're going to be using the compression to get you that separation you need to oscillate things if you need to. So you're going to be at a T4. You're going to be wide open, and they perform relatively well wide open, in my opinion. They perform better right out of the box than the full frames did, which I didn't really show them at the time. So that's probably on me. Anyway, I'm ranting. But the value of a zoom lens, especially for me as a full-time filmmaker, spending $2,000 is a drop in the hat because I know I'm going to return that. That return on investment is going to happen when I shoot these on productions. Now, for those who are more enthusiast or the hobbyist, I get it. Lenses are expensive, and you try to bite the bullet in some cases to see if it's worth even investing in budget cinema lenses. And most of the time I say no. But here's what I will also say. If you are a hobbyist, you're better off renting lenses or just camera gear in general rather than purchasing it, because you will not see a return on investment when you're buying gear that you're not even using for work. If you're buying just to buy gear, that's not really wise. You're going to put yourself in a financial bind. So my advice is just be more wise. It's not worth getting into all this expensive filmmaking gear if you're not using it to actually create work and make money from it. So take a back seat, rent the stuff, because you have way more options to rent. You'll spend a little bit less money. And if you are trying to make a career out of this, you don't have to buy. You just rent first and budget that into your bid for the projects. So that's what I kind of say from there, from an affordability point of view. But what say you? Those professionals who are following me, give some advice in the comments below. I would love to have a very formal discussion about how to go about these things if you are a hobbyist coming into this very expensive world of filmmaking. Okay, that was a lot. And if you have any other questions and just things that you want to talk about, drop it in the comments below. I would love to kind of just engage a few more things and let me know what this kind of style of lens review is. I want to incorporate more of what you guys are dealing with and see where I can relate and what advice I can give. I think that'll be the most beneficial to things moving forward. Again, thank you all for supporting this channel. We are growing pretty quickly, and I'm very excited. As you kind of been following, maybe I've been moving, so we're just now settling into the new house. But I'll probably get things up to speed a little bit later this month. But until then, I catch you guys on the next one. See ya. Okay, let's see how that sounds.
All right, guys.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
No, just for me. All right, you're breathing in the view. You love it. You're looking at each other. It's the best thing ever.